Sadly, the first incarnation of Bad Mannered Reviews proved too cumbersome to edit, so now I'm experimenting with talking about Thomas and railway-related stuff while I set up a layout on my train table. In one of my videos from last year, I discussed how Thomas being an E2 clashed with his maturity arc, and suggested viewing him as an LMS 3F Ginty with unconventional E2-style extended tanks. Someone in the comments was like, "Bear in mind, Audrey stated that the events of Railway Series Volume 2 take place during the mid-20s. No, I don't think I'll be bearing that in mind, actually. Don't want to be a purist. No. I've often thought Audrey was put on the spot sometimes, hard-pressed to drum up unnecessary answers to questions from readers. From day one, the stories of Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends were hampered by laymen. Clarence Dalby was constantly screwing up, and poor old Audrey was always having to answer to his flubs. One of the worst was in Thomas and the Guard, where Audrey tried to explain away Henry's square buffers by inventing that his own were damaged and he was borrowing a set of Gordon's spares. Still doesn't explain Henry's copper cap chimney. All he had to say was his illustrator was a stubborn simpleton, but then again, Audrey was a clergyman. I imagine church people often feel pressured to have solid-sounding answers for questions about fiction and mythology. There's a wonderful thing about reboots that no one is latching onto these days. When you revisit a franchise, you can iron out the kinks. Imagine if someone rebooted Captain Planet and the Planeteers. They could give the series subtler morals and villains and character attitudes. We all know it's not just big oil tycoons or cornholing clean living conditions. And only the least sheep-like individuals know that there are worse things for the planet than plastic. What some fans of anything refuse to process is not everything the creator intends is a good idea. J.K. Rowling intended the T in Voldemort to be silent, but everyone just flat out refuses to say it that way because Voldemort sounds like a setting rather than a character. John Lasseter was originally going to have Sheriff Woody be a total bastard, but after the Black Friday reel, everyone was in agreement that this made him an unlikable character. Lauren Faust, who was revisiting a franchise herself, managed to iron out most of the kinks associated with My Little Pony, which before then was only fit for a toy line, but even she insisted on some unfitting ideas, such as non-mythological creatures like cows and sheep being able to talk. It comes as no surprise that after she left the show, cows and sheep talking was abruptly discontinued. And yet for some reason, 3 seasons later, instead of Yetis living north of the Crystal Empire, we got talking yaks. How very odd. If you genuinely think something Audrey intended is an effective idea, that's alright. But don't insist on adhering strictly to his lore. There's no need to be so rigid. If there's anything Series 5 has shown us, it's that Thomas the Tank Engine does not have to be 100% Audrey influenced to be good. Next time, I'll discuss my favorite episode of The Simpsons. In the meantime, here's Broom Manor watching a pig cross the line.